gonna go ahead and open overview and the entire deal here. Let me open the overview. Okay, I'm there. I am ready. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, great. We are here. Good deal. I know that we're here, but we're not quite ready to start. We're getting there. Oh, I have to go through this every time. Okay, and we're going to go to, so, we're going to begin. Here yet, but we're here. Okay, we're getting close. Okay, 8. Oh. Oh my goodness.
Hello, this is Susanna.
Hi, Susanna. This is Sylvia. We're getting everybody together, and I want to be sure to wait till 2 o'clock because I know we're having cast of thousands.
That's fine. That's fine.
Hey, Sylvia,
Say again?
Sylvia, Casey, and I'm in Rangeley and going to mute myself.
Well, good. I'm so glad you're going to mute yourself.
Mute.
Oh, you're going to mute. Okay. But send emails.
Okay.
Okay, because I've had great help getting this to work today. So I think we're going to have a good meeting. Brenda is fabulous. And we're getting ready to go here.
Are there, did you put together a PowerPoint or anything?
I did, and I'm going to switch so you can see that.
All right, if you could send that to me electronically. Remember, I'm at home, and I don't have WebEx access on my home computer.
Okay, give me a minute here.
That's fine. But I do have the CCCS email account up, so if you just send it to my email, I can pull it up.
We're going to post this as soon as we're done, and then everyone will have it, and we will move forward together. We just wanted to be sure we had everything done.
Good, and it looks like I got the PowerPoint, so thank you.
Okay, right. Tell me it's cute. Okay, not quite time, but we're going to go ahead and make sure that we post this so that all of the people in the base camp can see it. Feel free to share it as you want to. It probably will be the first of several that we have. So we're getting ready to do this. And I will share my desktop here shortly. and you'll be able to see the PowerPoint. We've also posted a complete RFP from the federal government. It is 62 pages, so if you download and don't get 62 pages, you don't have all of it. You want to be sure that you do get the whole document. There are a lot of pieces to it. It's pretty intricate, but it's got all we need to know. Okay. I have it 2 o'clock. Okay. We are recording now, too, so that if you want to hear this presentation again or you want to share it with others, it will be available late today or early tomorrow. I want to thank you for coming to the presentation on registered apprenticeship. This is the newest listing from the Department of Labor. It comes out of the usual group, the Employment and Training Administration. It was released last week on December 11th. So it has not been out for long, but it has certainly caused a lot of activity. I'm going to go ahead, share my desktop so you can see the presentation. It's basically an overview of what the RFP is describing and what we're going to need to be doing in order to respond. Okay. This is an overview of what they're calling the American Apprenticeship Initiative. It's also called the Registered Apprenticeship Program. For our purposes, if you call it the apprenticeship program, we'll all know what we're talking about. The key facts and dates: it was released last week. It is part of the American Competitiveness Workforce Improvement Act of 1998. The deadline to submit our application to Washington is Thursday, April 30th, 2015. The department anticipates 25 awards, each of which can run up to 5 years. You must ask for $2.5 million. You may not ask for more than $5 million. The requirements specified in the document indicate that an applicant will serve between 300 and 1,000 apprentices over the 5-year period, depending on the funds requested, and they have scaled that out.
So, Sylvia, then if we had multiple colleges that were partnering on this, we would divide that 300 to 1,000 by the, in other words, it wasn't a 300 to 1,000 per school, but rather for our whole partnership proposal.
The partnership would have to work with that many apprentices or more. So I don't know how that will fall out, but that is the partnership requirement.
Right.
This is what the funds are set out to do, to support and expand quality apprenticeship programs in high-growth occupations and industries, create more career paths for apprenticeships and post-secondary educational offerings, strategies we need to find that will significantly increase apprenticeship opportunities for potential apprentices, and leverage and develop public policies so we can sustain a program of apprenticeship. These are the intent. These are the partnership compositions, and please note this is the minimum. There is no maximum, but in the document, it can be a new partnership or an existing partnership. Here in Colorado, there are so many great existing partnerships. It's possible that a new one doesn't need to be created, but we certainly are open to that as a potential. Employers must be engaged actively and must have a significant role in the partnership. The workforce investment system depending on whichever offices are associated with or located near to or partners with the applicants, are definitely needed to be part of the initiative. We must have at least 3 employers. Given that we have so many campuses, it's going to be a challenge to figure out which employers want to work on which parts of the grant with whom. I don't think 3 is a big problem here. Regional and national associations from the trade, from industry, and from programs that support this work should participate. The Colorado Office of Apprenticeship, who's already talked to one of our CCS folks. The Department of Labor's Office of Apprenticeship, with whom we've also already had contact, community colleges, and school districts. I would point out, however, that the people who participate as apprentices must be over the age of 16, and if they are between 16 and 18, cannot be in high school. So there are some caveats with the individuals who are eligible to be apprentices in this program.
If they are 16, between 16 and 18, and in for instance, in our adult basic ed program, they can do a high school completion program through our ABE GED program, would they qualify?
I can't answer that, but we will find out.
Good.
From what I've read, it would suggest, yes, they may not be in a regular high school. That we know. Okay.
Great.
Apprenticeships combine job-related technical instruction with structured on-the-job learning experiences. They are flexible, and they meet the needs of both the employer and the apprentice. I know that there is a lot of literature about apprenticeships, and we've been reading to make certain that we understand the best models and the best ideas. But in a capsule, this is what they are. An apprentice is hired by the employer and is paid during the apprenticeship. The apprentice is registered and the employer holds the apprenticeship. There is on-the-job work experience combined with classroom instruction and a nationally recognized certificate of some type at the end of a successful apprenticeship. And these are all critical pieces highlighted in the document from the Department of Labor. There are 5.
Hey, Sylvia. It's Janelle.
Yeah.
Can one question that I have is, what does it take to get to create a registered apprenticeship program? Because, and I don't know if you want to deal with this now or if you want to deal with it at the end. But you know, when this first came out, my mind was all around, you know, probably traditional pipe fitters and stuff like that. And now I've started to think more broadly, but I don't quite know how that works. Do you want to talk about that at the end, or?
I do want to talk about that at the end, because I also want to talk about Dean Budin's vehicle at the end. He had mentioned that to me, and I really have grabbed onto that, and I think those are related questions.
Okay.
But don't let me. Okay, but don't let me not talk about that.
Okay, thank you.
Because I really want to do that.
All right.
There are 5 goals identified in the RFP, and I've listed them because we must respond to each of them in our application. We have to expand apprenticeship opportunities. We have to figure out those for which foreign workers are coming, that we can have apprenticeships so that legal residents and citizens can have those apprenticeships.
Do we have a list of those H-1B categories?
Yes.
Okay.
I will post that. There is a link to that, and there is a fairly lengthy list of those H-1Bs. And not everyone has all of them in their area, but they're definitely around. So let me make a note to do that.
Sylvia?
Yeah. Could somebody...
For everybody who's not speaking, besides Sylvia, will you please mute yourself?
Yeah, because somebody's bouncing back at me, please. Thank you. Marilyn. Okay. Career pathways have to have post-secondary education and innovative partnerships that leverage training and classroom activities. We can do this, but it is something to which we must write a response. Goal number 3, we must utilize strategies that offer innovative approaches to increase the number of apprenticeship opportunities. In this country, we don't have nearly the number of apprenticeships that we find in other parts of the world, and I think that that is something we're going to see not only in this funding opportunity, but in some to come. So all of our effort for apprenticeships at this time is time well invested, because I believe we're going to see several sequences of funding in this area. We want to make sure that people go through apprenticeships and they have the skills and training for great, sustaining, living wage jobs with opportunities for growth and advancement. Number 4, there may be a need for new public policies and new kinds of public and private partnerships, and we want to speak to those that are present in our state. And the final goal is to ensure that innovations are the basis for the changes, and that we can do things which are sustainable and that encourage employers to continue to offer apprenticeships to prospective apprentices. So those are the 5 goals that the government has stated that we need to meet. The elements in the project, and these are the things we have to have. In order to put an application together, we need to make sure that everyone buys into the apprenticeships that are highlighted and supported in the application. We have to increase the number of apprenticeships available. So we'll probably be going around asking folks how many are available, what are the industries, what are the sectors, who are the employers, because we have to indicate the baseline from which we are increasing opportunities. There is work to do with career pathways and alignment of apprenticeships with higher ed and workforce investment systems. And while we know this information, we need to be able to document it and write it down. We have to be certain that employers are committed to helping us with this project and to leading the way for new apprentices. And because of that, we're going to be asking for letters of commitment from employers as well as our other partners. We'll look at the models that are out there, the ones we have, the ones we'd like to have. We'll be documenting that. We will design a plan for sustaining the apprenticeships in our state, and we will have a formal evaluation. I have an appointment on Wednesday to speak with the group at Rutgers that has been doing evaluation on the TAC grants to see if they're interested in partnering with us for this particular initiative. If they do, great. If they don't, we will get an outside evaluator. My sense is they're going to want to work with us, but we do need a formal program evaluation. There are several industries and occupations that are mentioned, but none that are required in this particular application. We must have high job growth areas. So when there's not going to be any more new jobs or an apprentice would then stay unemployed, that is not a good thing. So we need to identify areas that will have a significant number of new employees over a period of time. We want to look at areas that have been transformed. We want to see where there are new and emerging businesses that are projected to experience significant growth. And we need to have industries that impact our economy. One thing about Colorado that we're going to have to be very creative to describe is how we're doing very well, but we're not doing well enough. And unfortunately, those great articles that say we're #1 in this and #2 in that make people think everything's okay. Not so. Janelle and I one time checked the number of apprenticeship and positions open at one of the employers. They were hiring that day for several different kinds of jobs. So while the economy is great, employers don't have all the skilled and technically ready to come to work people that they need. So we're going to have to demonstrate that. Highlighted industries, however, in the document were these 5. Information technology. I can tell you I've been looking and looking, and I can find one model of this in the United States. I'm not convinced that really exists, but it's certainly a possibility. Advanced manufacturing goes without saying, a fabulous area that we could consider including in this proposal. Business services, not really sure what that is, but it's one for which there are not real definite apprenticeships, and we certainly have options to design them. Healthcare, not sure how that would work exactly, but it's certainly mentioned as an opportunity area. And then other kinds of jobs that have high demand skill sets supporting other industries, particularly in the digital arena and other technologies that are used by businesses and employers. So little creativity here depending on what we want to choose. Elements, this is what we have to have. Okay, I have that. Eligible participants. We have to have people who are at least 16 years old. They can't be in high school. Adults over the age of 18, great. Veterans and certain spouses or certain veteran spouses have great preference in this. It doesn't mean we have to run out and get only veterans, but given the choice, they have to be given high consideration for participation. We're also looking, again, for underrepresented groups, women and minorities in some professions and careers, low-skilled populations, and veterans who can go into what is called a pre-apprenticeship. So these are the components, and our applicants across the state can be a combination of these individuals at various sites, various types of apprenticeships, and various programs. We don't have to have one size fits all, but these are those choices that are specifically mentioned. These are the kinds of activities that you can undertake. On-the-job training, and there is a provision to give employers some support if it's a particularly expensive occupation or trade. Job-related technical instruction. We could develop some courses if that needed to happen, or help with tuition or fees. We can pay for instruction requirements such as hiring someone to teach a course. Pre-apprenticeship training is more specific, but if in fact that is needed for underrepresented populations, there is a potential for that to be included. And then other activities, which is a page of laundry list activities that pretty much need to happen when one is working with folks who are preparing to go into a new field of study or training. These are the things we have to decide. Who are the partners? Where are they? Are they ready to commit, or do we need to work together to make that happen? What is the industry or occupation focus? Do we have more than one? What might it be? Which community partnerships are going to come and, for lack of a better term, cluster around community college campuses for this work to move forward? We have to figure that out. So here's a strategy that we're suggesting. You have to find out if the leadership at your campus wants to participate. And so far, we've had a couple that have said this is not an opportunity for them. And if you find that you've got too much going on or it doesn't fit quite right, perfectly reasonable, but please let us know if you're declining this opportunity. We know that your presidents have all been notified, and we've actually heard back from some of them, so we want to be sure that you have ample time to consider whether participation is the right path for you at this point. However, we need to know pretty soon after the holidays so that we can begin working together. By January 16th, please send me an email so that Casey and I know who's in the group. You don't have to have all the partners, but if your campus is in, please let us know that your campus leadership has determined that you want to participate in this project. We'd like to identify the sectors and potential apprenticeships by early February. You will be getting a doodle poll so that we can begin to schedule the working meetings for this project. This is a massive undertaking. We want to be sure that everyone has a voice, everyone knows what's happening, and everyone participates at the level that is correct for them. We'd like to develop a calendar to prepare this application by February 13th, so that you know when are the meetings, when will you see this, when will you see that. And our goal, my personal goal, is that we have a draft by the middle of April. Remember, it's due April 30th, and it would be ideal if we had time for you to read and respond both to the narrative and to the budget well before we submit. We have not yet done any risk analysis to determine which will be the campus that we will ask to submit on our behalf. If your campus is interested, let us know. We will make that decision pretty soon after the first of the year. Questions? We have this, and we will post this, and we've also posted the entire document from Department of Labor, so you can review both of those. Questions? Janelle, your question about how broad?
Well, about what is it, you know, what's entailed in getting an apprenticeship program registered. I have no sense of that process, but you know, so that's one. I guess another question that's coming to mind as I'm sitting here is, what if, like, I could see us taking several different angles, but I feel like we could probably use some support thinking through, like, what does this look like? What does this mean? What are the options? And I don't know if we could have you or you and Casey come and meet with a small group of people just to, you know, like I'm thinking healthcare. But
okay,
I don't think I'm a student. I'm not seasoned enough in this area to, like, provide good guidance to people about, yeah, that sounds viable and no, this doesn't. So I guess even before the 16th, is there some support to help me sift through options?
I wouldn't want to speak or commit, Casey, but I will tell you that it certainly would make sense for us to make that possible. Healthcare is one in which I don't really see apprenticeships in the traditional sense, and I think we have to be creative. And I haven't found anything, but let me check with her and some others and see if we can't do that, because it's an area of significant need in our state. It's an area where we don't have enough people working, and there are definite career paths and options in it if we could just get people started.
Right, and my thinking is that we could build, you know, the program that it sounds like you saw the RFP we submitted around our Anschutz partnership. So I guess I feel like I've got some logical partners already at the table and some building blocks in place, but again, would need some help kind of strategically thinking about that.
Okay, yes, I have seen that, and I think that would be a good starting place. So I've got a note here that we should see if we can meet with you.
Okay.
And this is Susanna from Morgan. And you know, I was thinking in that area when we worked on the medical office assistant plan, and that one was not funded by, wasn't that the Colorado Health Foundation.
Right.
We had put quite a bit of time and effort into that. That is a healthcare area, and you have both the front of the office, which is the business skill piece, and then the back of the office, which is the clinical piece where you're a medical assistant. And, you know, that's healthcare, and those people they're going to be increased needs for those people. So that might be one that we could take a look at, and I'd love to meet and talk about that.
Okay.
Sylvia, this is Linda at Pueblo Community College. Healthcare, of course, is one of our primary areas, and so we'd really like to be involved in that. I know in speaking with the dean, she was really concerned about these paid apprenticeships when our folk are already required to take clinical experiences that they can't be paid for.
I know that's a real conflict in that area because the traditional apprenticeship in this country does not usually have a required practicum, if you will, kind of clinic. And that, to me, is a tension that we would need to navigate carefully. But it sounds like there will be a meeting about healthcare possibilities.
I look forward to that. Also, I'm curious what your impression might be around, I know our Economic Workforce Development Division, which is a non-credit course, is very interested and has been working to build partners for apprenticeships. How do you feel about the not-for-credit side of the house, as long as it's connected to nationally recognized certifications?
It does not require, as far as I can determine, that there has to be any credit-bearing activity at all. Some of that is curious to me, and yet for apprenticeships, many times there is in-class instruction that goes along with the on-the-job activities. So I think that's one of the reasons that flexibility is needed. It doesn't preclude it, so I don't know why we would not consider it, if that makes sense.
And I think when we look at the advanced manufacturing, especially the NIMS certification and so forth, fall right in line with this, and many apprenticeship opportunities in Pueblo.
Well, certainly we've done a lot of talking here about how we might do that NIMS certification and how advanced manufacturing is an absolute logical fit for the work that's been going on for a number of years. And I think we would want to examine that because I think that has real possibilities, particularly for folks who are coming back to school and retraining. It makes a lot of sense. So I think that's another area, advanced manufacturing, that we really want to talk about and see if we can't include that.
That's also an area that when I think of the TACT-4 grant that we submitted that wasn't funded, those of us who were interested in looking at the midline manager position, that's a big request from manufacturers in this area. And because they want people who know the business but want to give them those managerial skills. So if there were a way we could work around that, that might be another possibility, especially for the rural communities where we do have some large ag manufacturers.
Okay, I know that that's also a request from the Energy Mining Group and a couple of other groups up in the northwest part of the state. They have had similar requests.
Good.
Sylvia, let me ask you, it's Janelle again. I have a strategic question, then I don't know if you can answer it or not, but, you know, around the advanced manufacturing, given that, you know, we recently got the $25 million CHAMPS grant, you know, is it strategically savvy to put in another grant with a big emphasis on that? I mean, to the same division?
I don't officially have a position on that. I would say that that takes very careful consideration, and I have looked at other areas as much as that area because I think this is an opportunity to build on that success and bridge to some new areas. Not that we should discount all the good work that's gone on, and certainly the work in developmental ed and the work that is still happening that has really brought the group together so that these good things and partnerships are in place. But I do think there's a potential to now add some other occupations and trades and industries to the mix if that's what the group decides to do. Would I keep going down the same path forever? My crystal ball is broken, but I'm leaning towards probably enhancement would make sense.
Hi, Sylvia. This is Bill McGreevy at Red Rock.
Oh, hi, Bill McGreevy.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Following up on what you were just saying, do I understand correctly that we're not limited to the industries or sectors that they identified as suggested areas?
No, we're not. Do you have one?
Well, the reason I'm asking is I'm thinking about the skilled trades, and particularly here, our HVAC and electrical areas where we had funding through Workplace Gender Balance Grant to promote women in those skilled trades. And that funding has now gone away. And just this morning I was talking to one of our faculty members about what we might be able to do in terms of coming up with funding to come up with the next logical step in that area. So it seems to me in both those areas there's very high demand. In fact, so much so that we have a problem right now with students not completing because they get halfway through the program and they're employable and they're out the door with a job. But
well, my goodness.
We're trying to get more women into those fields, and I'm thinking this might be one way, if we can come up with a way of structuring this, to do something with that.
Well, certainly women and underrepresented groups are part of this, and the number of women working in these particular arenas is not very high. My understanding is it's less than 5%, or right around 5%. So certainly recruiting women to this area is, as far as I can tell, it is within the scope of this, and if that, we know these are areas, this and the skilled sheet metal worker, high demand areas. And employers are crying for these people. And you're right, they learn to do part of the trade and another employer will snatch them. And then you've got a good person who's working for somebody else. Let me add that to the list, Bill, because I see that recruiting women into some of these areas is an important priority. And if we could make some provision for this, I think at this point we want to consider that, because can you fill the classes?
Yeah, I feel confident that we can fill the classes. Whether we can fill them with women, I don't know. But in fact,
well, I don't know either.
But the other question I had, Sylvia, is regarding the January 16th deadline.
Yeah.
We would need to talk to our faculty in those areas, and they are now off contract until January 12th.
When do they come back, Bill?
I'm sorry?
When do they return?
January 12th. So that only gives us a 4-day window to really...
Tell you what, we picked that number out of the air because we had to pick something. I'm willing to go to the 23rd if that would help with conversations with faculty.
Okay.
Because we have to have faculty input and support and buy-in, and if changing that to the 23rd would help facilitate that process, makes sense to me unless someone has a serious objection.
And my understanding was on the 16th you want the commitment from the campus, but your PowerPoint also says and partners. Does that mean that we would also, by what would be the 23rd now, also have commitment from employers at that point and know who they are?
What I would like by that time is we will now seek our partners, but you would not have to have your partners at that early a date. Okay. Only the commitment that the senior leadership team had agreed your campus could participate.
Great.
Is that reasonable?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, let me change that to the 23rd, and it'll give folks a little more time, and I wasn't sure when the faculty went back, and I know the first thing on their mind will probably not be apprenticeships.
Hey, Sylvia?
Yeah.
Sylvia, this is Tammy and Miles over here at Pikes Peak. I apologize. My voice is coming in and out, so if Miles has to pop in, we're always on the same page most days.
Okay.
One of the things we've looked at backing up, because obviously Pikes Peak, probably like a lot of the other sister colleges, we don't have any registered internship programs at all. And we've got some somewhat interesting internships going, which are two very different things. So what we did, obviously, we got on DOL's site and tried to pull up, and you know, that site's not any less frustrating than it normally is. So we got on a more local site, the Pikes Peak Workforce, to see what what apprenticeships were already out there. Thinking of the angle that this is such a employee-driven process that we're looking at doing it about the opposite of finding apprenticeships that are already registered, already recognized, and potentially linking with those. Certainly, we would celebrate our veterans. I know that's one of the big pushes in our community. But what we've noticed on all these apprenticeships that are established is that driving factor of the H-1B visa. So I'm you know, and I'm linking those two things. And so I think that would be that is a once again, an approach that we might could get past or might get support from our administration, is not having to be so in-depth in that employer side, because this is a big commitment on their side, more so than ours. Which we will not have control over driving that or being able to sustain it. So trying to link in with programs that have already made this commitment in whatever form they have. But I do think that's what we're going to have to take to our leadership, is what that linking that H-1B, because we obviously want to align with the RFP, and then seeing what our programs link up with that, you know, how that's going to happen.
Okay, let me pull that and see if we can get something together that we can share that makes sense about that. The H-1Bs are a critical piece of this, and I looked at the list, but I didn't print the list. I will do that and see if we can align it with anything. I know that that is a piece, and thank you for helping us make sure that we're treating our veterans well, because you have more of them than some of the other campuses, although you don't have all of them, but you sure have a lot. So,
well, it'd be nice to be able to link up with Janelle and Aurora Community College on any effort that we might do. So.
Okay. I think we can do this. It's a matter of how to fit this. To me, those of you who know me well, I like to solve puzzles. This is a big puzzle for me, and I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get the pieces to come together. But I know we can, because we have all the pieces. It sounds like healthcare, manufacturing, and some of the more traditional apprenticeship programs, particularly in areas of demand, if we can find a way to interest and recruit some ladies, that would be even better. And I know we hear about that a lot. So I have at healthcare, so I have those major areas.
Well, Sylvia, not to complicate things, although it seems like at this stage,
why not?
Good to cast a broad net, because I have to say that the IT emphasis in this really had me scratching my head, because I thought, really?
Yeah.
But then, you know, as I think about it, and I think of this, you know, Tech P grant that just got funded, and the positions in that, and the reality that we don't even know how much of that training activity is going to flow through us, makes me think about some of the things that we worked on in that particular grant. So I guess I would offer up that that's another area that we would be, again, I would need some coaching. I'd need somebody to kind of come here and help me sift through with people. But I'm thinking of this employer that we brought to the table and some of the programs that we lined out for that grant. We might be able to turn into something related to IT, and obviously that's an area of interest for them. And when you do click through some of the links that they provided in the RFP related to the H-1B positions, I downloaded this one pager that talks about the top 5 occupations related to H-1B positions, and it's, I mean, no surprise, it is all computer system analysts, computer programmers, you know, software developers. It's all that stuff.
Now, I did find in my search last week of looking at apprenticeships, there are some pretty good models for IT-type apprenticeships, but they come from England, Scotland, and Italy. And so there are possibilities for that type of development, and certainly we could talk through how we might adapt. My sense of it is collectively the courses are probably around. Now, which employer we could get to the table to say, okay, let's try that, I'm not there yet.
I think that's the trick, and that's where I was thinking we actually did quite a bit of legwork to get at least two. We did have two, because it was Comcast, a company called Plum Choice, and then EchoStar was kind of on the fence, but you know, probably could be revisited. So that's what, and again, I feel like the way that grant came together, I'm like, I don't even know if we're going to pursue any of that, but there's a foundation that we could pick up and probe around.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think what we might take away from this meeting is we have some good areas, and we want to now have some meetings to talk about where we're going to focus our effort. And you're right, IT is one of the big effort areas. The problem with it is in this country, we do certifications and we do stack credentials, but we don't necessarily do a formal apprenticeship. That isn't to say we couldn't, but we don't. Now, back to your question of how you get an apprenticeship registered, there is a fair amount of paperwork and red tape and process. And why is this no surprise? Because the other apprenticeships have gone through this process, and any we would do should be no different. One of the things that we talked about when the advisory group was here about a week and a half ago was when I talked to the dean from CCD, he described to me this fabulous vehicle that would drive to the employer and have individuals who were skilled at helping them put these things together. And I just think that is a great idea, and I want to do it.
Because employers have to be the ones that do the registration.
Yes, and the chances of them, yes, sir.
Hey, Sylvia, it's Miles. How you doing?
I'm trying here, Miles. How are you?
Doing great. I'm doing well. Has everybody pulled the toolkit up from the Department of Labor? If not, I would encourage that. When you look in there, that is the #1 piece of apprenticeship, is to make sure that you have a registered apprenticeship. And I want to support the statements that have been made about taking it all the way back to the colleges and the areas around the colleges and the partnerships they currently have. A brief 1-week survey to find out who actually has apprenticeships, and not only apprenticeships, but registered apprenticeships. And then within those areas, every single area has IT. Janelle's correct. IT, H-1B visa, and registered apprenticeships are going to be the 3 focal points for this grant. And if you don't hit them, it's going to be a long shot to get them, because you're right. Colorado is not known for apprenticeships. I mean, we're pretty weak in internships as it is, but apprenticeships is a very foreign object. So convincing the DOL that we're robust enough to get these in, it's really going to be driven by the businesses.
Do you think that I have material I've gathered about these other, the models for IT-type apprenticeships in other countries? Do you want me to post those?
You should post those, and we should also, if I can also reach out if anybody else knows, but Colorado Technology Association, it's an association, but Wendy Como there has a lot of information. They've got 8,000 IT members. They're a big regional event in Denver, and they would have a ton of information on the need for the IT area that would also help us all.
Okay, let's proceed on IT as one that we'll explore, because you're right, and we have to have it, and we spend a lot of money on it. I mean, it is not like you have, in fact, there is a shortage of some of these folks in the state, which I find terrifying because if things go down, we're in trouble. I'm thinking that IT is one that if we could design a model and employers could support us, I think we could do that one.
And Sylvia, Janelle, this is Janelle again. One more thing I had to add. I'm pretty sure that the Colorado Technology Association, Casey might know for sure, was involved in that H-1B grant planning. And I think to the extent we reach out to these people and connect the dots, you know, say we want to build on these things, I mean, that helps them see that this isn't just one more thing. But
that would help.
Hey, Janelle. Are you there?
Yep.
So we wrote that grant for them, the CTA grant that talked about the H-1B visa, and Janelle, you're right. They were a component of it as well as the Colorado Legacy Foundation, which lies under a different name. But take that aside, professionally I want to stress that H-1B visas is the main driver along with the Registered Apprenticeship Program, whether it's statewide or national. That H-1B visa, the #1 marker for the feds is the IT area. So IT being one, that will be what they're going to look for in the grant.
Can we carry IT through other industries, or do we consider it an industry unto itself?
It's an industry unto itself. It's in every single aspect of every workforce piece we have in America. So it can be identified. It's just, do the businesses have the registered apprenticeship program? And you stated it's not an easy process. I mean, it's a lengthy, cumbersome application.
Well, we have a year at least in the grant before a single student has to appear as an apprentice. And it seems to me that it would take that time to make that all come together. I've got IT as #1.
Sylvia, one more thing to look at is, you know, on the federal apprenticeship web page, I can't think of what it's called, they have different program models because, again, I was looking at those to say, what the heck is this and what might it look like? And they had some references to IT. So anyway, I would just encourage people to go there as well.
Do you want me to post that? Because I think that's on page 11 of this toolkit, and they have 4 different models, or 3 different models that I see. And I'm wondering which of these it is, and I don't know at this point.
And some of their information was more detailed than others. Like in some areas, like they actually had one for community health workers, and I thought, oh, okay, now I can kind of get my head around what this might look like. I just don't remember. The IT ones maybe were not as
I didn't think that the IT ones were very well laid out. And given that we don't seem to have any in this country, I'm not too surprised, but they exist. And I will post that information because I think they're fascinating models and we could do it. It would take some work.
Sylvia, this is Linda in Pueblo again. The DOL website also has a link that takes you right to the apprenticeships that are available and currently available in your county. And I know looking at Pueblo, ours is primarily electrical. Early on, you talked today about existing partnerships, and so you get into IT and everything, then we're really looking at building new apprenticeships, right?
I think so, because they don't exist, at least as far as I can find.
So I think it would be important for everybody to know what apprenticeships are currently available in their area, as well as what might be, there's the job market, the H-1B.
Well, I think that Bill has suggested they could use more folks in this arena out at his school, and electrical is one of the first ones we think of when we knew this was coming. I don't know why, but it is. But we have several areas here, and it looks like IT is one, if we can pull it together, we have to have. And this truck going around to help, or van, or whatever it is, helping employers do the paperwork is critical because the paperwork is complex, it is voluminous, and it needs to be correct in order for that process to come to the conclusion we seek. So it would seem to me that we'll also need to determine how employers want support to actually develop and register new apprenticeships. Because I don't know that they have time to go and do this on their own, and I'm wondering if facilitating that work with them will be a good thing that we might be able to bring to the table as well.
I think that's key because that is apparently a requirement, a big requirement, that we have those paid apprenticeships.
Yeah.
And while we can think about some good training programs that we have and how we could mesh those to be more workplace-centered, the idea of paid apprenticeships before a person is skilled at a work site is going to be key to a successful proposal.
Okay, so let me see here. I have IT, I have healthcare, I have existing partnerships, particularly in some of the NIMS work and the construction trades, and I have those 4. I also have indications that the work that has been done, particularly on the recently funded grant here in Denver, and work early that the CTA H-1B grant, need to be used as foundations to move this work forward. Also reaching out to the Colorado Technology Association and our other partners who worked in the past on some of these initiatives, so that if we can bring this together, I am hoping it will become clear the path that we're going to be able to follow. Have I got that right?
Sylvia?
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, this is Lynn Bosler from Front Range. Just a question. Is there any chance that the Department of Labor will take a look at their requirements as a piece of this project?
How do you mean?
And make it easier to register an apprenticeship?
Lynn, this is Casey.
Yes.
My impression of that is that they won't until after the first round. So they're saying that this is going to be, this registered apprenticeship project is going to be their new round of projects that they focus on, like the tax grants have been for the last few years. And similar to the tax program, they learned a lot from that first round, where CCD was the lead for Colorado. And I think they're going to learn a lot on the first round of this registered apprenticeship grant, and then they might look at what their process is. But in the meantime, certainly for this first round that we're applying for, we're kind of stuck with what currently exists.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. There's nothing in the document to suggest they're willing to change at this point.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to move to the next level, which is seeing if there is campus agreement and looking at some of these pieces by the 23rd of January. I know that seems a long way away, but when you think about holidays and being on vacation for a few days, it's not really that far off. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay, I will post this information. I will post some of the information I've been gathering through my research on apprenticeships, particularly in IT from other countries, the H-1B jobs, the toolkit from the Department of Labor, and other items that we find that could be useful. If you will indulge us, we will ask some of you to help us reach out to some of these folks. We will schedule another meeting to talk about this and to talk about potential in other areas and see if we can get ourselves together so that we will be able to capture part of that $100 million. Does that work?
Sounds good.
That works for me.
Works for me. Okay, good, because I don't want that money not coming here. All right. Okay, I appreciate your time. We will get this moving, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day and rest of the week. We'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.